Good morning.
Hey. Welcome to the morning show. We're peppy this morning, and if you don't notice, we have some lovely hardware here in the house.
Yeah, some new microphones. We'll see what this sounds like. You know, I don't think, our top crack production team, we just lost us there for a second. We came back. They probably...
they're sleeping. That's how boring.
As I'm saying, top crack production team, they're cutting the feed. They probably tested these out, but we haven't actually tested them out. We have no idea what they sound like.
No, that's true. We could sound like, Mickey Mouse and
a
dog coming up through these things.
And I sniff a lot, so I'm wondering if everyone's going to hear every allergy-ridden sniff.
How did that sound, Internet world? My wife hates it when I slurp coffee, but I'm like, I'm not burning my tongue.
Well, that's because she's a normal person.
That's true. She is. She's she is extraordinary. I can't say she's normal. I get in trouble for that one.
That's like the biggest fight at the dinner table is with 6 kids. Someone's always chewing with their mouth open.
Yeah, seriously. Close your mouth. I don't need to see food particles and drool coming out the sides of your mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing.
It's fun times.
Hey, so today's the end of the world as we know it. How are you celebrating?
With River Road Coffee. River Road Mocha, the best drink in Newark Eve. And I am not paid to say that, although I'm willing to be paid to say that.
Right now, River Road, you are a friend of the show, but you could be an actual friend of the show if you want to sponsor us.
Which basically just means a River Road Mocha,
That's it?
I mean, I'm pretty cheap when it comes to coffee.
Mark that. He's admitted that on air. He is cheap.
Did you vote yet?
I did vote. I voted a couple weeks ago.
What? Overachiever.
Yeah, well, we have to... This is normally every year when I would vote, and I don't want to bring...
I went... Luckily, the church is a voting center.
So is this actually your actual polling place?
This is my polling place, yeah. So I just walked over, got here in the office this morning, then just walked over to the gym.
Did you have to climb over orcs and different soldiers to get in?
No, we're pretty low key here at the church property. There's no protesters or anything of that nature. You just walk in and vote.
No, I was impressed. I went downtown to vote, and they had their whole COVID line coming across. I did find it funny that
there was a guy down there with a megaphone, right?
Yeah.
Was he there when you were there?
No, I felt disappointed. Okay. I felt slighted in my awesome voting experience for 2020. Like everything else has gone sideways. Why wouldn't?
Right. Yeah.
No. I did have to reach into a bucket of styluses that everyone else
you get your own stylus this year because you can't, COVID.
That was fun. It was like some souvenir. Usually I just get a sticker.
So are you going to stay up till midnight watching the results tonight?
See, here's the problem. So yesterday was actually, for those of you paying attention, yesterday was a national holiday, November 2nd. It is a 4-year anniversary of the most important thing that ever happened in sports history, to which I watched.
Cubs won the World Series?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for the translation.
What, 1908 till
2016?
2016. Okay. I got half of it. I feel like I got the harder half, too. Anyway, go ahead.
I still cry like a baby every time I watch them. KB throws a little dingle thing over all the way to first base, Rizzo. Anyways, so the infamous story is that Marcy, I, like a true good Cubs fan, when they started to go down there in the 7th, I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to bed. I can't watch the debilitation again. You gotta
be kidding me.
I'm not kidding. And Marcy's like, no, you're going to regret this. You need to watch this all the way through. And I'm like, all right, fine. To which they win. So she reminds me every year. So I feel like there's, from that, I have this like little push to like maybe stay up and watch, but I don't know. I'm hoping like Gandalf shows up or something and like, you shall not pass. And I mean, it's 2020. Like something crazy is going to happen, but no. It's funny. On the other side of the camera, you guys can't see this. It looks like some kind of.
So I'm guessing you're not actually hearing us. You're just seeing our mouths move.
Are we doing the Godzilla thing where like?
They hear you. I'm just trying to fix the. It's a little hot.
Okay, it's a little hot.
Yeah.
That's awkward. But thank you. I'll take it. I sound hot. Thanks, Chad.
I was talking about the coffee.
That's right. Test the mic. Do you need me to test the mic?
I can't believe anybody watches this. So there's an article, obviously today being election day, and all of that going on. Obviously, we're praying for our country, praying for the election, praying for the spiritual needs of our country. Kevin DeYoung, a fan of the show, friend of the show, I should say. He's probably not a fan.
He could be.
We should try to book him, though.
Jared Wilson
writes a great article, What Will Still Be True When the Election is Over?
Coffee will be good.
Yeah, it's a really good article. Makes some really good points. And one of the things that I like he does in this is he doesn't do like the full Jesus juke, like elections don't matter. I mean, he says at the end of the thing, politics matter, policies matter, presidents matter. They really do. But let us never forget that some things matter much, much, eternally, much more. And so it's a really good point that yes, this election matters. It's important. It's important we vote. It's important we do all of these things. But they're not. It's not the end of the world, right?
No.
Despite the song you were playing before we started this morning.
Just saying, it's theme song for 2020.
You know, it's vitally important. We should be praying, but no matter what happens, God is still on the throne, and that's the point here. Is that he says Republicans and Democrats will come and go, but Christ's reign is secure. He is our King. That's the kingdom we belong to, and He's not being thwarted by an election. His ends and purposes and goals are all going to be accomplished, no matter what happens today or in coming days.
No, all right. So like, no matter who's at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, no matter who's sitting in the Congress, who's sitting in the Senate, who's sitting in the governor's house, like he talks about here, like we still have the Great Commission. It will still need to be accomplished through the ordinary means of the Word and Sacrament. He quotes here from Isaiah 40, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will remain forever. Everything changes and we go through this upheaval, and they always tell us like, this is the election that is the most important in your lifetime. Like, well, you said that 4 years ago. And in all honesty, every election is important because this is an opportunity we get to, you know, voice our vote and so on and so forth. However, the most important thing in our lifetime is the expansion of God's kingdom throughout the world, the multiplying of the gospel to those who have never heard it, to those that are far from God. Like, that is the most important thing, and that doesn't happen every 4 years. That happens every moment we leave our door and enter the mission field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, I think there's a good balance of, there's things that are important. I mean, abortion, religious liberty, you know, the family. These are key issues that there are radical differences within our country. And so, yes, we want to go vote. We want to represent the biblical worldview as best our conscience dictates. And we want to do that, but it's recognizing, you know, God is on the throne. There's a quote here in his article, there's no guarantee for good or ill regarding the future of the United States of America, but there is an unbreakable promise that Christ will build the church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And so, yes, we love that, you know, we're in a country that we're in a prosperous place of freedom, and we're grateful for that, and we love that, but we also recognize it's unlikely the United States is going to last forever. I mean, no country does. But what is eternal is Christ's kingdom, is the church. And that is our hope. And that's where, if everything else falls apart, our hope is settled because God is on the throne. The church is enduring forever. And we are looking for that eternal kingdom that is still yet to come, where we will be with him forever and ever. And that's our hope.
It's not Obi-Wan Kenobi. Jesus is our only hope. The Star Wars reference. Reagan got it.
Reagan, what's the Star Wars reference? Is Obi-Wan Kenobi the last hope?
Obi-Wan Kenobi,
See?
You're my only hope.
See?
Unbelievable. Who's Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Wow.
That's the old guy,
Wow.
right? The first one, he's the old
Who
guy.
are you?
Older, yeah, I guess in episode 4.
And then he turns into a ghost.
I feel like we just had this awesome, beautiful theological thing, and we went fast 5 all of a sudden.
You caused
Which is
it.
my fault.
You caused it.
We
You're
went
like
down the rabbit trail.
making Star Wars references that I'm not.
It's that's how my mind works. We just
I am
we go from
going to
one to the
start
next.
watching The Mandalorian.
That's what I noticed.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
That's one good thing that happened this week.
That is true.
Yeah.
There was a nice break from the insanity that is 2020 that we got to see The Mandalorian. So,
Yeah.
have you watched the first episode of season 2? All right. So, what is your?
Well, I haven't watched any of it. Don't spoiler alert.
All I'm gonna say was it's good.
It was
Okay.
good, and the Death Star blows up again, so that was amazing.
I don't know what that is.
That's not a spoiler alert. That's like walking into Titanic. That's another fun spoiler alert story. I saw Titanic when I was in high school because I'm that old. And that was it's a huge movie. That was the first $1 billion movie, whatever. And people are in line to get in. They're packed in. They're all pre-COVID. That's funny. Packed in a movie theater, right?
Right.
And I remember walking out because I was a snot-nosed sophomore, and I was like, "Hey, spoiler alert! The boat sinks." And I'm not kidding you. Like 4 people left the line, like disappointed that I ruined the movie. I'm like, glad you guys paid attention in history class.
Wow. So the point of that is watch The Mandalorian and your hope is in God and the eternal word and in
It
Christ
is the eternal
today.
word. And to
so
redeem the time, we should
Yeah.
also, by the way, a plug for us, we should be talking about these things all the time. Right? Abortion, the sanctity of marriage,
Yeah.
The family, all of these issues that we get riled up in, we need to be talking about them every day and be talking about them in the public square every day with our neighbors, our friends, our family, not waiting until 4 years. Like people have already made up their minds.
Yeah, that's true. And we
Right?
need to talk about it. And, we talked about Philippians 2 in our Christ and Culture series, Philippians 2, 14 and 15, which, talks about we're living in a crooked generation. We're living in a sinful world. And we need to do so in such a way where we're holding fast to the Word of God.
Yes.
And we're also shining the light of the gospel. And so we need to talk about these things, but we need to all the time. And we need to do so and represent ourselves in such a way that we're adorning the gospel so that people may look at us and say, I don't agree with you, but I respect you and I respect your opinion. And I'm even willing to fight for you to be able to have your opinion.
Yeah.
That should be our prayer and our goal. And that's what religious liberty really is. And that's one of the big stakes that's at stake today in the election is religious liberty.
You said steak. Is that medium rare?
Yeah, I know. I'm hungry, I guess. But I would say that's probably the biggest issue, maybe. I mean, obviously, abortion is a huge issue, but that's been something that's been in our culture for 30 years.
Yeah.
As far as an issue, every election has been there. But this is the first time, I think, maybe in the history of our nation, that religious liberty is really...
It is.
At this much of a pressing issue.
We've never had to fight so hard for religious liberty
it's never
before.
been endangered before. But it is very likely that, in October, we had a message on what does the Bible say about homosexuality, and obviously talking about God's view of marriage between one man and one woman, and how we're to love and serve our neighbor and take the gospel to those that are living a different lifestyle and love and serve them and see that God change their heart and their desires. I don't know, we could be 5 years away, 10 years, or 1 year away from that not being allowed to be preached, or you have to be very careful in how you say it. These things are there, and that's not conspiracy theory. Canada's already there.
Oh, sure, yeah. I have some friends up there, and they talk about the politics of Canada is they're 30 years ahead of us. Right, well, we consider just like horribly left-wing or whatever progressive. They're like, that's our conservative party.
Yeah.
They are well ahead in a certain sense of that.
And so our hope is in the Lord, because, there's Christians that are in places where they're not allowed to meet. I mean, they get beheaded if they meet for worship.
Correct.
And what's amazing is in most of those places, the church is thriving. And so whatever God brings, He's on the throne, and we trust Him and continue to preach the gospel.
And so that's another great spot. Like, let us be praying for our brothers and sisters around the world who don't have a vote like this in their government, right? And they don't have the freedom we do to be open with their religious expression. And people in North Africa, Middle East, and South Asia, they're in East Asia. There are so many places where you want to proclaim the name of Christ in the middle of the street with a bullhorn, and you're not seen 5 minutes later. And they do it, and they're great about it. And it's just, the persecution that we experience here is a really small perspective to our brothers and sisters around the world. So,
and that's a great segue, because we're about to have an interview here with a mission partner in South Asia who we can't give you his full name.
Correct.
We can't give you his real name, and we can't give you his picture. You won't see a video of him. This will be the first interview with just a picture of, the region, South Asia. We can't show his face because
for security reasons, because where he is serving, if they knew who he was and where he was, he would get kicked out of the country, and so on and so forth. So we are really excited that he was able to make the time to come on the show. So we did pre-record this, just rather because you're going to notice.
I was going to make a shirt joke.
Yeah, well, we can still make the shirt joke on the other side of it. I'm still drinking out of the same coffee cup because mine's never empty. But yeah, please watch this. He does some incredible work and plug some really interesting resources as well. So we'll see you on the other side of this interview. So we are excited to have live on the other side of the world, IMB Missionary in South Asia. This is David Paul. We're excited. David and I have a little bit of history together, so I'm excited to have him come on the show. So he's going to talk to us about Muslim stuff as well as a new discipleship tool. So welcome, David.
Well, it's great to be here, Rob. Great to be with you, David. It's I'm glad for the opportunity to talk to you guys today.
So for security reasons, we are obviously not showing you, but he's not one of the guys in the picture. He is. If you look really closely, all right, you can see his mouth moving.
I'm way back on there.
You're the one holding the Burger King. Okay, cool. So how about we talk about how did you end up on the other side of the world in South Asia, sir?
Well, that's a great question. So I came to Christ as a college student, and about a year and a half after I came to Christ, I ended up on a summer-long mission trip in central Turkey. And on that trip, I knew this is the exact sort of place that God has called me to be, right? Where people, where lostness is, just surrounded by Muslims. And I went on a journey from that point in time to find out where God wanted me. Ended up moving to Kansas City during that time and found my way into a Southern Baptist church. And they started telling me about, I was trying to explore that calling, and they sent me to the greatest seminary in North America, Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. And I know Rob's sad there, but got a great training in the New Testament, got a great training in missions. And during that time, met my wife, and we were exploring where God wanted us. And if you're doing Muslim ministry,
God took you to Midwestern. You met Ash. So
that's right. I met her in Kansas City. That's right. That's one of the best things that probably the best thing I've gotten out of Kansas City. But there's a lot of good stuff about Kansas City. So we thought surely we're going to end up in the Arab world because that's where missionaries to Muslims go. But as while we were at seminary, my wife was working on this project called the Global Status of Evangelical Christianity. I'm going to pull up a map of it. And she was looking at this map all day, every day. And we ended up on a mission trip in Egypt, kind of scouting out, is this where God wants us to be? And during that trip, we couldn't stop talking about India. And Pakistan and Bangladesh and this area called South Asia that's just full of Muslims. And we're just realizing there are so many more Muslims in South Asia than there are in the Middle East. And so few people were going to that area of the world to work among Muslims. People were focusing, instead of on South Asia, they were focusing on the Middle East. And we just kept looking at this big red diamond. So if you've seen this map before, it used to be completely red, And you can see the incredible change that's happening in South Asia, that we're starting to see some yellow and green poke through. And that map means this, that the more red there is, the less reach it is, the more green it is, the more reach it is. And God's just doing this great work in this area of the world, but very often it's just flowing around Muslims. So we, finishing seminary, we ended up landing in South Asia in January of 2012, and that's been our home since. And we love it in this area of the world, and that's a little of the story how we got here.
That was fantastic. So let's talk about that a little bit for a second, because I know typically when we think about South Asia, you're thinking more Hindus, more Buddhists, Baha'i, but you're making an excellent point here about Muslims. So why should we change that kind of perspective? Why should churches more kind of engage in that work?
Well, that's a great question. So what we don't realize sometimes is that South Asia has more of everything than anywhere else in the world. 1.7 billion people that call South Asia home. Around 600 million of those are Muslims. 600 million, meaning almost twice the population of the U.S. of Muslims live in these countries. Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, second, third, fourth largest Muslim populations in the world. And just think about this, the Muslims of South Asia, they're relatively open to the gospel. Muslims are coming to Christ. It's relatively easy to get visa access in many of these countries for missionaries, and they're great places to live. And one of the greatest joys that we have in working in South Asia is that there are Christians that we can train to do that work. So that's what I did all day today. I've been awake for a little over 20 hours, I have to tell you, Rob. So if I seem a little loopy on this call, it's because of that. I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, my time, drove around 4 hours away, and did a training all day with a group of Christians who are asking for equipping and how to reach Muslims in their area. And so that's one of the great joys we have in South Asia, as well as that there are Christians we can train and equip so that no matter if we're here or not, they continue doing the task among Muslims. And so, South Asia is a great place to serve, and it's really fun working among the church here and among the Muslim peoples.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, that's where the people are. 1.7 billion people. So that should be some place that we are definitely praying for and definitely highlighting and sending to. So our church actually this week is celebrating missions, and we have a missions conference this weekend. And so it's kind of a big thing right now. And obviously you're the International Mission Board. So why is the IMB the best mission organization to be with? Why should we as Southern Baptists be excited about the IMB and being able to partner together for missions?
Let me answer that from two different directions. One side, I just want to say why prospective missionaries should want to serve with the IMB is this: if the IMB does the best job of equipping new missionaries of any organization in the world. We have the best training and the best mentorship. So if you come serve with the IMB, we bring you through a battery of training, including this several weeks in Richmond, Virginia. Bring you overseas, and we have a 3-year mentorship program for every new missionary. Every new missionary missionaries for 3 years, equipped, trained, and we have a special training team that makes sure nobody falls through the cracks. Now, in my first term, this happens sometimes in the field. Things happen. My supervisor on my first year left the field. All of a sudden, left the field. And we had, because we worked for the IMB, there was a great depth of other missionaries who were able to step into that gap and continue to provide us great mentorship. So the one thing, I think that everyone who wants to serve as a missionary, they want to succeed at what they do, right? They want to thrive as a missionary. And one of the best things we need, one of the most vital things for thriving as a missionary is to have the best equipping we can get, the best training. And the IMB trains their missionaries like nobody else in the world. Now, why do the churches want to partner with the IMB? Well, part of that is because we do get the best training, we get the best equipping, and because of that, we're often highly effective. Everywhere we go, IMB missionaries are leaders among other missionaries on the field. We often set this we set the stage and strategy we're leaders in strategy and in bringing others along. I get calls all the time from people outside the IMB who are calling us, other missionaries in our country and in our area, who are calling us asking, what do we do in this circumstance? We've never experienced this. And because we have 175 years of experience, we have experienced it before. We've walked through that, and that depth of experience has served us well. So that I think that those are some great reasons why the IMB is a great organization to partner with. And we're thankful. I do just want to say this. I'm thankful for churches like your guys that faithfully support us in what we do. Many people don't realize that every time they give to most Southern Baptist churches, some of that filters its way into the cooperative program and ends up funding missionaries on the field like us. And we've got the Lottie Moon Christmas offering coming up, and that funds, we're aiming for $175 million this year. And that's in the ballpark of what Southern Baptists have usually faithfully given to support missions around the world. And that drives us to continue taking the edge and bringing the gospel to where it's not. And so we're so thankful for our partnership with the Southern Baptist churches of the U.S.
I mean, I'm ready to go. That's a good bit.
Well, we're ready to take you, Rob.
That is fantastic. Yes, all amen to every single one of those things. I often talk to people about the cooperative program that it's amazing how the missionary support is fully funded. You guys get to keep both feet on the field and both halves of your brain on the field because you have that support network. I knew of one M that was on the field who had a car accident and they were trying to figure out what to do, should they go here or there. And I know if it was an independent mission board, they would have had to wait 20 hours to get someone in the office and wherever, North Carolina. No offense to people in North Carolina, we love you. You're friends of the show. But there's such a regional structure and leadership, and within minutes they had things figured out and where they were going. So, logistics, support. We love it. Hey, so I know one of the things that we really wanted to kind of focus on here is you've developed, because of that, you said that the IMB is a leader in providing resources and strategy. I know you've been working on a tool to really engage Muslims in your area of the world. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm a doctoral student at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, so this dives in with my doctoral studies there. And as part of my doctoral research, I've ended up creating an online web-based tool that's called Engaging South Asian Muslims, and it's a discipleship course that anyone can take to learn how they can engage more deeply with South Asian Muslims. It's a 12 to 14-hour web-based course that we're trying to get the word out globally about the need for reaching South Asian Muslims and trying to equip the global church in doing that. Right now, we started small. We've got about 100 students around the world in that course, and I'd like to see that blossom to quite a bit more than that, because that's a drum that I'm beating. How do we equip churches, not just in the United States, not just in South Asia, but churches around the world, every corner of the globe, to engage South Asian Muslims? So if anyone wanted to learn more information about that, they would just go to our website, which is nocousinsleft.com, nocousinsleft.com, and they can find information that course on that website, and simply follow the instructions there, and you can get logged in.
So, what are some of the things that are a little different about Islam and the way it's practiced amongst South Asians versus North Africa or even in Indonesia?
Well, so some of those places will have some of the same characteristics, but a little bit different as well. So South Asia is fun because we have every kind of Islam just stacked on top of each other. So today, let me just give a feel for that. I'll see if I can share a picture or two about this. So this, for example, is a gathering. You can see there's a couple people gathered there. This is a gathering, an annual gathering. This would be like
protesting something.
No, this would be like the Muslim T4G conference, and every year their T4G conference is 2 million people. 2 million people gather in this highly orthodox Islamic group called Tablighi Jamaat, where they gather together for several days, and and they gather together to strategize how to evangelize the world for Islam and how to evangelize South Asia. So a group of 2 million people radically dedicated to that, and these guys are lay preachers just going place by place in small groups, very much like Jesus and his apostles in the New Testament, going place by place sharing the gospel. And everywhere we go, we're evangelizing Muslims. We're bumping into Tablighi Jamaat, and so we have that on one side. Then on the other side, you see the picture that I've already got up here. Let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger, so everybody can see it a little bit better. So this is a picture of a completely different expression of Islam. And these are guys who are inside of what's called a durga, which is the tomb of a dead saint in a place called Ajmer Sharif that's in India. And these guys are singing songs to Muhammad in this picture. That's probably what's happening here. They're singing devotional songs to Muhammad, believing that they can channel the energy of Muhammad, and that the spiritual presence of Muhammad is everywhere, and that by channeling his power, they can have the blessing and energy to overcome spiritual powers and problems in life. So you got the radically Orthodox Muslims evangelizing everywhere, and then you got these guys kind of in this very strange form of Islam. And then on the same time, we've got, I'll just share a third pole of Islam here. You got a guy like this. This guy's called Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. You've got these guys who are these world-class secular Muslims. This guy sitting down was knighted by the British, and he was spread Islamic education across South Asia. But he pulled he had actually made a version of the Quran because he was such a secularist. He sought to have a version of the Quran that he said, the miracles aren't the true part. We need the stuff without the miracles. Still believed in God, believed in heaven and hell. But
that's fascinating. That's like the Jesus movement, right? The New Testament scholars try to do the same thing. Yeah, they're unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
So the great thing about South Asia, I drove past major centers for all three of these expressions of Islam today. And we just bump into all of them, and some of those expressions are really open to the gospel. Some are a little bit more closed. But the great thing about South Asia and influencing Islam in South Asia is that South Asian Islam is influencing global Islam. And as we influence Muslims in South Asia, it can have a global impact. One picture of that is that Tablighi Jamaat group. They were founded out of the same group that the Taliban was spun off of. So you might not realize this. The Taliban started out of a madrasa in India called the Deobandi movement, and they were the ones who laid the theological foundation for the Taliban. In 1947, when partition happened, they were split off from that. But Indian Islam is what started the Taliban problem. And as we can influence the Muslims in South Asia in a place like India or Pakistan, we can have impact around the world on people who have crazy ideologies like that.
Wow. How would you describe, I'm trying to how to ask this question. I think a lot of time in the West, especially in places that aren't heavily multicultural, we have stereotypes of Muslim people. I know for me, one book that was influential was The Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, and just reading about Nabil Qureshi's growing up in his life, and just kind of like, hey, this doesn't really sound that much different from a kid that grows up in a Baptist church, to be, as far as some of the things that they deal with. So how would you, describe just the average person in South Asia you run into on the street?
Man, that's a great question. And so you have to remember, Nabil Qureshi, he was Pakistani, right? So you're there, a Pakistani Muslim background believer who had a global impact for reaching Muslims around the world. Picture of the impact we're hoping to have. So I would say the average person in South Asia is more of a pluralist. Whether we talk about a Hindu, a Muslim, or whatever, if we just say the average person, they just want to have a belief that, hey, you're Muslim, I'm Hindu, that guy's Christian. I remember going into a home once to share the gospel, and there were three friends sitting on a bed together, and I started sharing the gospel, and I realized, oh, this guy's a Muslim and this guy's a Hindu, and normally we share the gospel in different ways with Muslims and Hindus, and I realized, well, that's not going to work here. And as I started sharing the gospel with these two guys, they said, oh, that's what our friend here believes. And the third guy in the bed was a Christian, and these guys were best friends in the world, a Muslim, Hindu, and a Christian. That was just a normalest thing in the world for them.
Oh.
And they grew up thinking that they grew up knowing each other's religions, knowing something about them, and they grew up just with this belief that, hey, Christianity is good for him, Islam's good for me, Hinduism's good for that other guy. But none of those three guys really seemed to have a search for truth inside of them, or really even a burden to be faithful to whatever religion they followed, and didn't really have that search inside of them for God. And sometimes that's the problem of pluralism, is that it's more focused on saying, hey, whatever is good for you is fine for you, but there's no discussion of if that's actually an effective way to connect to God. And so that's a common problem here in South Asia, is that people want to say everything's fine, but they lose the burden to actually pursue God and find a relationship with him.
I remember that. I remember talking with 1M, and they were mentioning it's like a merry-go-round when you try to like talk to them sometimes about conversations like this. And they were like, get to Jesus as quick as possible. I'm like, what?
Yes, yeah. That's true. So many people around the world, they think about Muslim ministry and they think, oh, let's start the Old Testament prophets and let's take a long time. We're like, within the first 3 minutes or so of the conversation, we want to be right at Jesus most of the time. And because there's 600 million Muslims here, if we offend a few people along the way, well, we're finding the ones who are open. That's okay. We're looking for the ones whose hearts are open. And the only way we can do that is by sharing the gospel. And we often talk about that, filter with the gospel, share the gospel broadly, see who's receptive, and then spend time with those people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's scattering the seed, yeah. Find out who grows from it, yeah. Like the farmer who casts it out and he's surprised about what happens in the morning. Yeah.
Yes, just like that.
Well, sir, we are going to transition to a little fun thing that we like to call the Fast Five. We're just going to completely undo all the cool, awesome, spiritual, theological depth of this interview. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready for whatever you can throw at me, Rob. I might throw it right back, though.
Wow. Wow. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
You survived thus far. So let's start off with the easy one, sir. What's the strangest thing that's happened to you in COVID?
Man, the strangest thing that's happened to me in COVID, I thought I was going to get beaten up by the police one day when I went to go buy groceries, because it was super lockdown in our neighborhood. The police were coming through, getting mad at people. I happened to be the guy who was caught outside my house, and the police came up, started harassing me. I really thought I was going to get my first beat down in South Asia by the police.
Wow. Well,
so they saw that I was a white guy. I pulled my mask down. They saw that I was white, and I think they didn't want to be on the news about beating a white guy. So I think my whiteness actually saved me in that moment.
You know, it's a lot different on the other side of the world. All right, question number 2. If you were home on a rainy Sunday afternoon, what movie would you most want to see on television?
Oh, what movie would I most want to see? My wife would probably say it was something in the Bourne trilogy.
Your wife's awesome. Now, hold on. So you said she would go for that. Like, what would you want?
She would say that
that's what I would like. She would say that's what
okay, I'm sorry.
My wife hates the Bourne movies, but she thinks that I love them more than anything, and she's probably right.
She's probably right.
So where do you fall on the fourth one, by the way?
I like it. It took me a little bit to get used to it, but, after about 5 viewings, I was like, I see how it fits in now.
No, see, I just think the fourth one is Ocean's 13 all over again, because it's the same 2 people.
I don't know that I've seen the fourth one.
It is. Yeah, but that's what we watch. I mean, we watch it to see the same movie with a different cast, right? That's what it is. Like Rocky, we watch all 4 Rockies, but it's the same thing over and over again.
That's an excellent point. And at some point, we're gonna have to talk about the Mini Cooper scene in the first one, because that's just special and so many reasons. All right, so we're gonna ask you, would you rather, for question number 3, sir. Would you rather have a permanently clogged nose or a piece of green food always stuck in your teeth?
Well, my nose is already permanently clogged for the most part, and that's a huge blessing in South Asia because, come on, so I'm going to go with that one.
I was going to ask about, like, what's the worst smell that you've had over there, but we'll table that for a different day. All right, so this one's a little more existential. Is never returning something you borrowed considered stealing?
I'd have to think about that. So my wife is mad at me right now about this one thing that I let people take my best books all the time. I'm like, oh, you need to read this book. And they never return them, just about. So does that mean that all those people have stolen books from me?
Yes.
Okay, well, so everyone who's ever stolen a book from me, you should feel ashamed of that right now.
Yes, repent.
That's the only thing I can really think about. I'm thinking about losing my favorite books.
You know what? We'll queue up just as I am.
How many times have I bought some of these books?
You're good.
Yeah.
We will start the repentance process.
We will start the altar call right here on the morning show. If you borrow a book and don't return
we're
it, you
helping
have
you
definitively stolen.
South Asia is an honor shame culture, so we are helping you in this.
I don't give away my books.
Thank you.
I just buy them a book. Like if I want you to read a book, I'll just buy it. That's my policy. Because if I give you my copy, I'm not getting it back. That's true. I'll just buy it for you, your own copy.
Is it worse if you get it back and they've like highlighted and put notes?
Well, that's
in
what I highlight everything. So if I give it to you, you're getting a highlighted book. So it's kind of pointless anyway.
Oh, it's Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind if somebody highlights my books.
Oh no!
Because I'm getting somebody else's commentary on the book that I have, but they have to deal with all my highlighting first. So
well, that is one cool thing about Kindle books is they always show you what sentences have been the most highlighted. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like you get this community group think of what's the most important parts of the book. So as you're, flying through it, you can
group think because that's worked so well for our society.
Yeah.
Hey,
sometimes the group think is wrong on Kindle. I've seen, and I still can't get into the groove of the electronic books. I need the paper book. I'm still too old for that, I guess.
Yeah. I only read Kindle books for fun. Like if it's a ministry book, I want a hard copy. But that's fair. All right, question number 5, sir, and this is another fun story for your part of the world. One of my favorite things traveling through South Asia is being in an auto. So, what is your craziest rickshaw story?
Can I actually share a craziest taxi story that's not from South Asia?
Fair enough.
So I think that this is my favorite story I've ever had. This is from Istanbul, and so I got in a taxi in Istanbul, and there was a group of us. We ended up getting in 3 taxis, and these guys were chattering in Turkish, and the guy who was with me was laughing his head off as we're getting in the taxis. The guy who knew Turkish who was with us, and these taxis took off like crazy fast through the streets of Istanbul, and the guy who was driving my taxi had one arm and was talking on his cell phone. Well, he's shifting. He's trying to shift the gear, racing like a race car driver with one arm going back and forth between holding his phone, shifting the gear, and steering the thing. And we were like, it was like being in a Bourne movie. I thought I was going to die the entire ride. And I'm this college student, right, who doesn't have a clue what I'm doing, and who's, this is the life-changing trip that has led to my calling to the field. And I'm like, I'm certainly going to die. And we get to the other side, and this missionary is sitting next to me laughing his head off because he knows what's going on. And we get there, and he's like, ha, ha, ha. These guys just said whoever got there first got all 3 fares. So they were, these 3 taxi drivers bet whichever taxi driver could get us there first was the one who got all the money for all 3 fares. And so these guys almost killed us doing it. And that was my first day in Istanbul in my life. And so that's probably my craziest story, but it was a good time. Straight out of a Bourne movie.
Hold on. Did your one-armed taxi guy, did he win?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Because he picked the wrong gear. He should have been shifting in the third, downshift through the corners.
I think it's because he was trying to talk on the phone while he did it.
That's true.
If you're racing, what are you doing talking on the phone, man? You deserve to lose.
Right. Well, sir, thank you so much for being a part of the morning show and letting us interview. Real quick, how can people, again, plug the course, and then if people want to follow you, how can they do that?
Well, the biggest thing, go to my website, nocousinsleft.com, and you can subscribe to that site. It's a blog that I regularly update. On that site, right on the top, there's a place to click e-course, and it'll give you all the information about how to get into that e-course. The other thing that, honestly, more important than that, I just want to put this picture up again. Give to the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. Give to the IMB. When you do that, this is what funds us and what we do around the world. We're thankful for the faithful support. You don't have to be a Southern Baptist to give. You just go to imb.org, International Mission Board, imb.org, and you can give right there.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, sir, and staying up super late. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
That was an amazing interview.
That's very cool.
Best story about a random taxi thing happening. Do you have any crazy taxi stories?
No, we don't really ride in taxis here in rural Ohio.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I don't think we even have taxis.
We have Ubers.
Do we have Ubers here? Or do you have to go to Columbus to get Uber?
Yeah, you probably would. They would drive from Columbus to Uber you to the mall. No, I was really glad to have Dave come on. Amazing stuff that's happening there. Please go check out his website. Go sign up for the blog, be a part of the course. Hey, for those of you who are in our church family viewing audience, there is a missions conference happening this weekend. There are so many amazing things that are happening, so please be a part of that. There's a virtual mission trip to South Asia where we will hear about some of these awesome things that are happening over there.
And we're having some South Asian food, right? Some Nepali food?
Yeah.
What are we eating? Give us the menu.
So I was shying away from some of the really scary stuff.
Okay.
Lamb curry, chicken biryani, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Is it red curry, green curry?
Red curry. It should be like a red curry.
Nice. I'm a curry fan.
Really? Steve Curry or?
Wow. We were flying. So what's crazy, and I'm not an international world traveler like Rob here, but we flew from London to the U.S. The meal was curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. It was good. I mean, for airplane food.
For airplane food, yeah. I've been told that like curry in England is like our version of spaghetti. Like it's the dish that everybody knows how to make. So curry's the spaghetti kind of dish over in England.
Seems like curry is worldwide a pretty common staple.
It's it's
outside of America.
It's a stew.
It's good
with a bunch of spices. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have the lamb curry, chicken biryani, veg pakora, which is like the most awesome thing you could ever do to broccoli and cauliflower.
Is that like a shrimp? Is that like a tempura?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a spicy tempura batter, which is
nice.
And then matar paneer, which is one of my favorite things ever. And then probably some kind of roti because naan's really expensive. So, and you need a proper tandoori.
We're not having naan?
Too. We're having roti, which
What's that?
Roti's a really thin flatbread. You'll see it. It's like a tortilla.
We can't have naan?
We can have naan. No naan for you. Naan. I feel like that was a joke that needed to be made. So that's Saturday. Please show up for that. You need to register. You can go online. You can see it on the Facebook page. It's in church apps, so on and so forth. Plenty of places. Call the church office, whatever you need to do. Please be here for that. It'll be an amazing thing. There are some awesome stuff that will be here if you show up. Not only is it dinner free, but you're getting some cool, not trinkets, but mementos for the day for showing up. Sunday morning, we'll have all of our partners. They'll be talking in the Connect Group hour, and then Sunday morning, we'll have our IMB person actually preaching the service, plus an awesome worship event that is happening Sunday night. And during the show, we got it approved. The Littlefield family will be joining the worship band on Sunday night. This is hot off the presses, so this is a whole weekend not to miss. Please be a part of that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Hey, wait. What's next week?
Next week.
Next week's show.
I think it's Dr. Rayner.
It is Dr. Tom Rayner next week. The post-COVID church, post-quarantine church, his newest book. We'll be talking about it. What does the church look like going forward?
We get to like nerd out because he's like an uber research guy. Yeah. This will be fun.
So looking forward to that. Looking forward to Dr. Tom Rayner. And then is Dr. Chitwood after that? Or
Dr. Chitwood's the last one, yeah.
So it goes Rayner. Oops, hit the mic.
Yeah.
Rayner, Dr. Yorg,
Right.
Am I pronouncing?
Yes,
his last
we've
name?
confirmed that. That
It
is
was
Dr. York. Yes.
from Gateway Baptist
Yeah.
Theological Seminary. Is it Gateway?
He's Gateway Theological
sorry.
Seminary. Yeah.
We need to figure this out before he comes on. We're excited to have him on there from the Bay Area. And then Dr. Paul Chitwood, the president of the International Mission Board, to round out season 1 of the morning show.
We made to season 1.
We made to season 1. So if you like the morning show, be sure to like the morning show on Facebook, like the page, share the page, help us get the word out there to other people, and hopefully it's beneficial beyond our bad jokes and coffee ramblings.
There is no bad jokes.
Okay.
Like there's no dumb questions. There are no bad jokes.